Much.
Hi, my name is Richard Stanton, and I'm the I'm the entrepreneur that everyone's talking about here today. I'm the CEO of Bintro. It's a semantic startup company headquartered here in New York. As Steve mentioned, we actually just recently moved our development group to Hoboken, New Jersey, unfortunately, because the cost of doing business in the city was something that was not tenable for us. The reason I decided to come here today and speak was because in the late 90s, I was one of the founders of a company that grew from 0 to 400 employees within 18 months. And everyone was employed here in New York City. Our offices were in the Garment District, and it was a very different environment at the time. And unfortunately, in 2001, the investors in that company decided to move it out to Seattle. That company is now a private company run out of Omaha, Nebraska. So I decided to come today to speak about 3 things that specifically can happen that would allow the company I'm currently running today to stay in the New York area and not see the same thing happen that I saw 10 years ago to a very successful startup. One of the biggest challenges, and I think a couple of people have touched on it, is creating basic infrastructure. When Bintro began, it operated in the extra space of a real estate firm in Midtown Manhattan. Many startups are not so fortunate. For many entrepreneurs, it's a huge expense and hassle just to find small short-term space of professional quality. The key there is professional quality. The process is laborious, the broker fees are grossly disproportionate to the term of the lease, and there's no easy way to grow without abandoning a lease or paying for multiple spaces. This is compounded by the fact that many founding teams just don't have the experience or the time to work their way through such a complex process. In a nutshell, the problem is a lack of spaces that are simple and cost-effective to rent for short periods of time. This is why I believe the government, specifically, should work with startups to alleviate the issue. And any empty office space the government has could currently be listed online for short-term subletting, specifically for the purpose of creating a business within the city. The government could easily bring in revenue with its spaces and would otherwise be vacant simply by catering to the cost-effective needs of startups. Furthermore, I know plenty of private companies that have done this with great results, yet it is not a formalized or endorsed practice. Imagine the benefit to the local economy if the city offered tax savings or rebates to businesses that supported this. Why should any office space in this city be empty when it could support the growth of what may be the next Google, Apple, or Microsoft? Another of the early hurdles for a startup is finding proper legal counsel for the creation of proper business structure. For example, by the time a startup's first institutional round comes to pass, they may have to clean up their capital structure or even face deal-breaking due diligence issues because they did not know the right way to set up their business in the first place. To remedy this, I propose that the government and investors come together in the creation of an industry-accepted starter kit, wherein standards for due diligence within New York are firmly established and made accessible to all entrepreneurs online. By consulting entrepreneurs in this standardization, VCs can ensure that due diligence becomes a shorter and simpler process for both parties involved. Also important to the startup is the creation and growth of a solid team. This has become more difficult over the years. For example, I recently met with a group of undergrads from the computer science program at RPI, which is located in Troy, New York. Each student told me they already have a full-time job waiting for them when they graduate in the spring. This is great news, of course, but it should be noted that all of them were going to work for a multinational large corporation and none for a startup. I suggest a better and more open dialogue between schools and the startup community. I'm interested in speaking with students and sharing with them what skills we believe will be most needed when they graduate. And I would like to make sure our job opportunities, the opportunities of startups, are available to them and that they see working for a startup as a good path to build their career. I suggest the creation of a committee to figure out how we better communicate the needs of the startup community to schools and how we can cater the needs of students coming out of school. Finally, this is ultimately about us and our city as a whole. I'd like to touch upon the bigger picture. With the right attention on the right things over the coming years, I firmly believe New York City can become what we would deem the internet or technology capital of the United States. Time and resources are crucial to the success of the startup community, of course, but most important is recognition. As of now, we are missing that recognition. We have yet to form our personality, if you would, and our reputation in the sector. The city must actively support emerging technologies in order to become better recognized as their rightful sponsor. For example, Bintro is a company that specializes in the field of semantic technology, connecting vast public and private databases of knowledge to create intelligent applications. Luckily, this is not yet dominated by Silicon Valley, but it is quickly gaining momentum in New York, Boston, and Northern Virginia. and this is the perfect time to take advantage to make New York a bastion for new internet technologies. In closing, in listening to people speak today, as someone who has made his career as a product manager and bringing technology to the marketplace, the one thing I'm always shocked to see from a government perspective and a private enterprise perspective is that there is no product manager who speaks on behalf of the city to make sure that there is a liaison to the business leaders, investors, and technologists who really need to. There was a young woman here earlier who spoke from the Economic Development Corporation, and I was so interested in her answers, and yet I felt like there was this missing layer right between her and me, and that's someone who understands technology, understands business, that I can talk to on an ongoing basis, that actually may even show up at my office one day and say, hey, what the hell are you guys working on? This is cool stuff, and go back and report it to you. So we don't have to wait for the formal, obviously, confines of committee in order to do so. And so I personally offer to assist in the creation of that if needed. I also personally offer to give the resources of our company. We are a matching technology to assist people in the category of helping find employment and other resources, including space and sublets in the city. What we need is access to the information and access to someone who actually speaks the language of technology and the entrepreneur from a government perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know Councilmember James has a question, but why is it better in New Jersey?
Cheaper.
It's cheaper, so it's the cost of business.
Well, it's a combination of two things. Money is always important for a startup, but most important is flexibility. I have a month-to-month lease. I can leave as I grow. We were 1 employee 12 months ago. We're 13 employees today. We believe we'll be somewhere between 30 and 40 employees by the end of next year. I can't keep signing leases. But I do know there's available space in New York, yet I couldn't find it. But if I needed to find a broker, there's a dozen at my door. There's something wrong there.
Okay, so the issue of this incubator space is not for you. You are very much at the next stage, and you need somebody to recognize that and sort of be the layer that you just described.
Well, what we all want as entrepreneurs is to grow quickly, but it seems like that can be very difficult. I actually hear people not hire because they don't know where to put the people.
Okay, you made a really wonderful, cogent argument. Councilmember James.